What's different? What's different? Oh,
I'm just kidding.
Good evening, everybody. It's 5 o'clock. I'd like to call the meeting to order. We're going to go into executive session first to talk about collective bargaining negotiations and personnel matters. And we're only going to be about 10-15 minutes. So we'd like to do that first. So can I have a motion to go into executive session? Mark, second by Kathy. Diana, if you can leave Margaret on and Tina. We're just waiting for the video to start here, our live stream. All right, looks like we're live again. All right, item 1.0, approval of minutes for the August 18, 2022 board. I have a motion. By Kathy, second by Mark.
So moved.
All in favor?
would you repeat?
Aye.
It's Jim. Jim, you have feedback.
You can't vote 3 times.
To come out of the executive session was Kathy, seconded by Barb. The approval of the minutes.
Oh,
It was moved by Barb. I think it was seconded by Mark. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Perfect, Jim. Thank you. Item 2.
I as well.
Margaret.
That was Tina. Thank you, Tina. Item 2.0, Finance Facility Committee meeting. I chaired it on behalf of Kathy, and the meeting went very well. We discussed all the items. They all passed unanimously, so that'll move us to item 3.0, preferred action items. May I have a motion that items 3.1 through 3.3 be moved. Moved by James.
So moved.
Second by Jim. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Action item 4.1, approval of slate of officers for 2022, 2023. Motion.
So moved.
Second.
Second by Jim. All in favor?
Aye.
Get back in business, kid. Thanks. No, okay.
Hey, Margaret, can you mute your phone? Thank you. Item 4.1, approve nominating committee members for 2023, 4.2, approve nominating committee members for 2023, 2024. We have a motion. Barb, second. Kathy, all in favor? Aye.
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 Unanimous. 4.3, approve scheduled meeting dates for 2022, 2023. May I have a motion? Moved by Kathy, second by Mark. All in favor?
Maybe on the gas station.
Aye.
We on something.
Carried. Item 4.4, approve revised bylaws and new facilities review committee. May I have a motion? By Kathy, second by Barb.
Aye.
Where is that from?
We don't know.
Not me.
Aye. So carried. Item 4.5, approve resolution to rename the SUNY Broome Community College baseball field the Edwin C. Dobb Field. I'm trying to find it.
So moved.
Can I have a motion? Jim,
Jim
Jim.
moved it.
second by Jim Sestani. Okay, I just want to read it because I think it deserves reading. So a resolution to rename the SUNY Broome Community College baseball field to Edwin C. Dobb Field. Whereas Edwin C. Dobb has been a valued member of the SUNY Broome Community College Physical Education Department since 1963, for a total of 59 years. And whereas he taught in both the physical education and sports studies department and the sports management department. And whereas he provided excellent quality instruction to our students in a great variety of physical activities. And whereas he taught courses in a variety of modalities, most recently teaching online through the spring 2022 semester. And whereas he provided leadership and guidance for the less experienced faculty members with his vast knowledge of physical education teaching methods. And whereas his level-headed approach to problems was particularly valued in departmental discussions and other campus committees. And whereas he worked to improve and increase the participation in the intramural program, coached the first tennis team in varsity soccer in 1963, and again from 1986 to 1994. And whereas he was an assistant varsity coach from 1964 to 1970, and whereas he coached varsity baseball from 1965 to 1979, producing a tradition of winning seasons, many NJCAA Region 3 championships, and many of his players advancing to Major League Baseball teams. And whereas this year, the New York Collegiate Baseball League Intramural All-Star MVP Award will be named in his honor. And whereas he served 20 years as a professional baseball scout for the Cincinnati Reds until 2019. And whereas he wrote and published the fictional novel entitled The Last Season. And whereas he holds a BS degree in physical education and an MS in both physical education and athletic directorship from SUNY Cortland. He obtained experience teaching physical education, biology, and health at the elementary, high school, and college levels. He coached multiple sports, including soccer, basketball, and baseball. And whereas he influenced many students and athletes by instilling a sense of tenacity, dedication, and drive to excel. And whereas he was instrumental member of the SUNY Broome Community College until his time of his death on June 23rd, 2022, and is sorely missed. The knowledge and advice that was shared will continue to be spread to students throughout the physical education department. And whereas his full-time service to the college was completed in June of 1996, his part-time service to the college was completed in May of 2022. Be it therefore resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the official renaming of the SUNY Broome Community College baseball field located on the college campus as the Edwin C. Dobb Field, conditioned on the required 6-month consideration period for an exception. I hereby certify that the foregoing is true and correct. May I have a vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
Aye.
Aye.
Item 5.0. Informational items. 5.1, President's Report. Dr. Drum.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, everybody, and thank you all for your service to the college. We appreciate it very much. All in service today and lots more long meetings to come for many of you. Great news once again, second year in a row, our dental hygiene program has received state recognition for the Cerebral Palsy Association from the Cerebral Palsy Association of New York for programming serving differently abled people. Once again, congratulate our dental hygiene program for their exemplary service, both in the classroom and out. Somewhat surprisingly, enrollment continues to improve. It's improved a whole point in the last couple of weeks. That's, I don't think, ever happened in my time. It usually bounces around after classes start. We've had a number of non-matrics enroll. Non-matrics is basically someone just signs up to take one class. They're not in a program. That's what not our crazy lingo around those who are matriculated are in a program. Those who are not matriculated are not in a program. They're just taking a class or classes. So nice to see. That's probably the adult market that Narcissa was referring to, and that's a good thing. You might not expect that hot job market. I think everybody's aware that the university won the Build Back Better competition up against dozens of proposals from around the country. We are one of the coalition partners for that and very proud to be. We could have gone in on our own separately, when the grant opportunity was announced. A few of our sister colleges did around the states. 2 or 3 of them did get Build Back Better funding, such as Hudson Valley for a chip facility of some chip manufacturing facility of some kind. They're near Malta where the huge chip plant is, so that made sense. We chose to put our lot in with the university, and it has paid off. It should pay off really, really big with $113 million coming into the community. 63 of it from the Build Back Better from the feds, and 50 million from the state. What a great thing that's going to be for university, the college, the partners, and the region to become. The vision is to become the lithium battery epicenter of the nation. The long time before we're epicenter of the world to compete abroad, but very badly needed for the nation's economy. It'll be a great thing for the area. So we're very proud to be a partner. We conducted our annual 9/11 ceremony on the 9th, because that was the Friday before 9/11. We do it annually. We think it's an important event to remember, period. But now it's history for many of our students, and we think it's important to remind folks of that critical history for those who aren't even born yet or too young to understand the impact of that. And also, community colleges train and educate the vast majority of first responders across the country. At one point, it was over 90%. I don't know what that number is today, but it's high. You just think about it, the joint obstacle course we have here with the sheriff's office and our criminal justice program. That in itself, everybody comes through this college one way or another as they're trained, and our EMS program and so on and so forth. So I think it's important to, as a community college, to recognize the great sacrifice that was made that day, particularly among first responders. The new ESD commissioner toured our culinary event center a couple of weeks ago. Like everyone else, she was very impressed, toured with the local staff. It's great to see the traffic that continues to wind through that beautiful facility. And we had a really nice event with Binghamton High School. You all know that Jason's district led the way with our Broome Express. And we expanded it to Johnson City, although it was virtual, and it doesn't work so great virtually, but we had a very, very good, now it's our second meeting, actually. We met with the leadership of Binghamton High School over the summer and met with their guidance team a week or so ago, and it went very well. And I run into Tanya, recently the superintendent, very excited about the possibility for their high school. So are we, and hopefully that will continue to snowball with other schools in the district. Thank Jason again for his leadership and help there. That concludes my report, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Drum. 5.2 academic affairs, Dr. Kelly.
So I have several items in my monthly report. It's a little bit smaller than usual since it follows the summer break, but we did keep busy over the summer. And one of the things I wanted to highlight was that we were awarded a SUNY High Needs grant for expanding our chemical dependency counseling program as a result of obviously the high needs in the community. So we got 124,000 plus to develop a fully high flex program, which involves asynchronous, synchronous, and face-to-face component. And all of our courses will be converted to a high flex in that particular program. And we also have some money for equipment. So we'll be devoting a classroom to a fully high flex classroom for that program. So we're pretty excited about that. Want to thank the finance team, the grants team that works with finance as well for helping us with that. They've done a great job helping us with a lot of grants. Shelley Reels and Danielle Tierno have helped a lot, but my team in particular has provided a lot of input into that. And you're going to hear a little bit about that tonight. So this is a good lead in to my guest tonight. We've done a lot. I know last spring we talked about the academic master plan, and we went through that and spent quite a bit of time at this meeting. And one of the focuses was on building the pathway from non-credit to credit. So we spent a lot of time trying to reach out and get grants relating to that and reach out into community businesses. So part of our academic master plan, as well as the sustainability plan, was working on that, building enrollment growth, the pipeline, and as Dr. Drum just mentioned, the adult market. And that's really one of the things that we've been focusing on. When I got here, I know there was a big push to really work on workforce development and get some of the non-credit program in working with the companies. So in January of 2021, right in the middle of COVID, we were fortunate enough to hire Danielle Britton to take over the continuing education and workforce development. And Danielle came with a lot of contacts, fortunately, because she came from the chamber and really kind of hit the ground running, although she hit that ground pretty much from Zoom, because the first 2 months of, I think, her job were completely remote. But I've asked her to talk a little bit about some of the workforce things that she's been doing, including some of the grants, and she'll actually touch on our responsibility as part of the Build Back Better grant as well. So, you know,
Thank you.
You have to be able to hit the receiver over here.
Should I go over that side? Thank you. Well, thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk about the grants we have coming in. It's been really busy. As you know, the economy, the workforce there's a lot of workforce issues. Almost every grant coming out has some sort of workforce component tied to it. So it's been a busy year or year and a half. And really in the past, I'd say a couple of weeks, we've been getting a lot of these grants in. So I'm going to spend some time talking about a couple of highlights of some of the bigger ones coming in. But between what we have now, as well as the ones that we haven't quite received our subaward agreements on yet, our workforce development grants total over $2.5 million. So there's a lot coming in this space right now. So the first one is kind of hot off the press, as Schumer and Gillibrand just announced it this morning. And we did get approval to share with you today. Onondaga Community College was the lead applicant. This grant was through the Department of Labor Strengthening Community Colleges Opportunity and has a very long title, Community Colleges Cares Consortium, so strengthening career pathways and promoting equity in the healthcare social assistance sector. The total grant is for over $5 million. We're one of 10 other SUNY community colleges that are a part of it, as well as the SUNY system administration. Our part of it, we applied for about $300,000. That'll be over 4 years, focusing on accelerating pathways in healthcare programs, using prior learning assessment, non-credit to credit programs, as well as supporting students that might be a non-credit, might need some extra assistance with choosing what career path they're in, as well as upgrading some testing center equipment to go along with some of the programs we're proposing with this. So the biggest piece with this that's going to be really important with us is being part of a community of practice that is being developed through this grant with the other community colleges, which are really going to be focusing on employer partnerships. So we had Lords and UHS sign on with letters of support with us for this grant. So we'd be building out an employer engagement network, looking at prior learning assessment across the different community colleges and how we can better take that into our healthcare programs so that students can come in with a few credits to be able to finish those credit programs faster. And then look at also developing some different marketing materials to help recruit students into those programs. We specifically also are going to be doing some professional development with prior learning assessment, looking at some internal agreements from how we can take our non-credit programs and apply credit to them, including looking at some third-party partners that have some online programs and certifications. We're hire a career navigator to work with those students. Some students that maybe weren't admitted into competitive programs or had to drop out of a competitive program, how can we get them some credits or some sort of credential and into the workforce? And then developing a nursing entrance exam prep class and to be able to offer it for free of charge, as well as some exam vouchers for students that need that financial assistance. And then also some equipment so that we can provide to be able to do those tests on campus, because some students aren't able to do it at their home or pay to go to a testing center. So the rest of the grants I'm going to talk about are mostly within manufacturing. The next one we received over the summer was the STEM Industry Pathways Grant. This is a SUNY Workforce Development Training Grant, some money that they had available through New York State Workforce Development Initiative. And we're going to get $200,000 over 3 years to develop some micro-credentials and non-credit to credit pathways in our STEM fields, specifically in the topics of manufacturing, clean energy, electronics assembly, and some computer science. So this also will fit right in nicely with the Build Back Better grant we got. All the programs we develop through non-credit to credit or the micro-credentials will fit into our mechatronics certificate, as well as the 2-year manufacturing, electrical engineering, and mechanical engineering technology programs. So to also help build enrollment into those programs. So the money we're going to use to hire a staff assistant to help recruit for some of the non-credit programs, to develop curriculum, as well as pay for some students to go through the non-credit programs, as well as additionally some money for marketing and showing how these programs fit together. Because with the micro-credentials, there'll be a series of credit classes that are part of the degree programs as well, but they can take outside of the degree. And the big exciting one that Dr. Drum mentioned is the New Energy New York as part of the Build Back Better Regional Challenge. So we started working with Binghamton University as part of that consortium probably about a year ago now. So it was exciting to see it come in and to start getting working on it. I think we're starting to get into more details on it next week. But what we put in as part of our application was about $1.5 million for over the 3-year period. That is really supporting the employer needs in that clean energy storage space. Again, you've seen the theme of non-credit to credit offerings. With that, we're going to hire a staff assistant, actually 2 staff in the project, one to help expand the student support services for non-credit and non-degree students. Again, kind of a theme throughout our grants here, but right now we don't have those supports for non-credit students, specifically because in our office is where the non-credit students come, and there's only a handful. There's, I think, 3 other people in my office. So it'll be good to be able to help them understand how those classes they're taking will help them with their career, their hopefully future career, as well as tie into some future educational goals. So we'll be using our current programs, modifying what we need to fit the clean energy storage and the battery manufacturing part of it. We already have a successful 3-week manufacturing boot camp that we run with Broome Workforce. So we'll be looking at how do we modify that to fit, and then what can be a next level training for that. We'll also be updating some of our credit programs to include virtual reality. A lot of the battery manufacturing is done in a dry room, which costs a lot more than we could have gotten in this grant. So we're going to do that training through virtual reality, and then be able to fit that in with the non-credit and credit programs. And also looking at creating a pipeline of high school students. We'll work with BOCES to run a summer program. And this isn't just for the battery factory IM3 that's going in Endicott. It's also supporting BAE, Raymond, other startup companies that are in this clean energy storage space, and companies that are going to be part of the supply chain. So the whole grant itself is really building that battery ecosystem in the whole southern tier. Just to kind of give a better idea of how these things might stack together. We could take individuals with no skills, put them in a job readiness program, which would get them the skills they need to go and work. But they could also get credit into a micro-credential or certificate or 2-year degree program. So just trying to create some flexible options. So if individuals need to get to work right away, or they have some time they can spend training, or maybe they want to take their time doing their education while they're working, creating the flexibility there. And then what I forgot to mention too is the grants can also help us support the employers to create internship, job shadow, co-op, and apprenticeship programs. And all of the programs that will either develop or modify will also fit into New York State Registered Apprenticeship guidelines for their related instruction. Last slide. These grants, my other grants, are some of them we've had kind of historically, the apprenticeship program, the corporate training grants, but I did want to highlight them because they do fit in and they are starting to grow again. So we've been part of the SUNY apprenticeship program for a while, and what that allows is businesses that are part of the New York State Registered Apprenticeship can access up to $5,000 for each apprentice to take classes that are related to their on-the-job training, and it's outside of construction. So manufacturing, there's some healthcare apprenticeships, there's computer science, there's different human services, there's different business ones. And these students are typically in credit classes, but they're taking one at a time. They're not enrolled in a program. So right now we have apprentices from Amphenol, BAE, Unison, and Reading Reloading. The SUNY Workforce Development Training Grant Contract courses have different names over the years. We've had them many years, and that gives us the ability to do customized training for businesses in whatever skills they need. So a lot of what we do is either manufacturing or leadership related skills, and it can cover up to 90% of those training costs. So those are starting to come in more again now that people are able to go into the companies to do the training. So we've had since the winter, we've had them with 6 different companies, which total up to over $50,000. Where some are coming up. So we're doing a leadership training with the Chamber and GBOP in a few weeks. We've been doing some training with the Southern Tier Independent Restaurant Center for tips and serve safe certifications. And then I'm working on 5 more applications, mostly in manufacturing and more the entry level skills or leadership skills. And so each of those 5 different applications are going to be anywhere from 30 to 50,000 each. The last one I wanted to share was the Pathstone Young Adult Reentry Partnership, which we were awarded back in January. This organization is based out of Rochester. They serve 18 to 24-year-olds that have had some sort of interaction with the criminal justice system. And their role is to help those individuals get all the resources they need to be successful. Our part of it is to provide the training opportunities so that they can become employed. So they're just kind of getting their feet under them. Their office is in our office, located in our office. They're starting to enroll individuals. They're in short-term programs, so they can be in anything from 2-day security guard training to a certificate program. Right now we have 3 individuals registered for our soldering program and 1 in security guard training, but we're hoping by the end of next year to have over 100 students registered in some sort of program. So the grant allows us to pay for that training that can't be covered by other means, as well as allow us to do some curriculum development for short-term training. And then we have one more grant that we're waiting to hear on from the Department of Energy, which is also around battery manufacturing. That is about $1.2 million. So we've been busy.
A lot of work.
Yeah.
Danielle, can you send that PowerPoint to
Yeah.
Diana so she can
Yes.
send it to the board?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.
So Danielle's done a super good job and has really helped to really bridge the credit, non-credit. It's been a challenge for a couple of years, but I think we're finally really starting to break through that and get those pathways into the credit program. So it'll really give us also another avenue for enrollment and increase our enrollment ultimately in the credit program. So yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Great presentation.
Thank you. And that's completes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. 5.3 student assembly update. Al.
I didn't include it in this packet because the semester started and time just kind of got away from me, but I'm going to send it over to Diana. First of all, we're drafting a resolution to change the required residency proof from 1 year. Students basically just have to submit proof that they have resided in SUNY, like in the area of SUNY Broome, in order to get a discounted in-state rate. We're trying to change that because it doesn't, some parts of it don't make sense. Students are going to be sending students to NACA, which is going to be picking the best performances to have throughout on campus throughout the school year in order to boost student engagement. There's consistent club representation every day. There are some clubs that are a bit lacking on that, but it's still consistently going up every single day. So that's good, student engagement. There are certain cafeteria policies that have been changed and students are questioning why they weren't informed. And there's conversation that's going to be going on between dining and student assembly regarding that. That concludes my report.
Questioning, what, Ellie?
Some cafeteria policies that have been changed. Is there any questions?
Comment though, NAC is a great organization, wonderful meeting for student leaders.
Thank you.
That's great, thank you.
5.4 BCC Foundation update, Ms. Williams.
Hi, in the interest of brevity, most of the information that I'm sharing is written out in the report. Just a couple of highlights. Financially, as of July 31st, the foundation's total investment portfolio was approximately $40.65 million, of which $39.8 million is endowed. The foundation's total assets were $45.6 million, including the beneficial interest in perpetual trust, compared to the fiscal year 2020 with total assets of $43.4 million. So tiny little bit of good news that we had a net surplus in July of approximately $2.2 million, and that was directly related to an increase in unrealized gains on our investments. This compares to a net surplus of $691,000 in July of 2020. Our fundraising appeals are moving and on track. Our alumni magazine is in the works right now, and I'm really excited about some of the profiles we're going to bring you in late October. We had our alumni night out at Tabby Downs last Saturday, and we had 130 attendees, 30 of whom were first-time alumni event participants, and some of them were not recent graduates. So it's really exciting that we're starting to get more people engaging as we tell the great story of SUNY Broome, and it was just a lot of fun. I mentioned that we are in process and anticipate getting a lump sum of a bequest that came from a community friend sometime this quarter, and it's approximately $750,000. And on behalf of Ed Dobbs' family, I wanted to thank the trustees for approving the renaming of the field in his honor. And we plan to now move forward to dedicate that field during reunion weekend because we'll meet the 6-month criteria. And the Dobbs family will travel from New Mexico and Maine to participate. And we also intend to invite many of our alumni athletes who knew Ed. And I just wanted to say that it was really amazing that this man worked. He was 89 years old and he worked up until 1 month before he died. And, you know, my only regret is that we didn't name it while he was still alive. It happened rather quickly. So thank you for your support there. I know the family will thank you. And they have in turn created a scholarship in Ed's memory. And and they did ask for donations. And so we did get a lot of our faculty and staff and retired community friends support that scholarship. So a fitting testament. And I just wanted to say one other thing. We're excited to be partnering with the Office of Veterans and Military Affairs on campus to host the Twin Tier Honors Flight October trip for veterans to take the monument tours down in Washington, D.C. And we're very excited about it. They will 100 or so veterans and their companions or sponsor will leave at 7 a.m. Saturday morning from campus after they had breakfast that we will provide. And then there is a return welcoming the vets back from their trip on Sunday evening at dinner time. And we are inviting all of our faculty and staff, and trustees, and our students and our alumni to come and welcome our veterans back. And we think it's important because a significant number of those vets who will be going on this trip served in Vietnam, and they never got a proper welcome home. And we like to remember that SUNY Broome origin was to provide educational opportunities for veterans returning from war. So more to come on that, and hope to see y'all there on Sunday evening, cheering them on. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. 5.5 facilities update, Mr. Lutakis.
Yep, thank you, Mr. Chair. First off, I'd like to introduce Libin Babu, who joined us about a month and a half ago from International Paper down in Conklin. He is a mechanical engineer. He is formally known now. His title is On-Site Energy Manager, even though he will be involved with capital projects and space utilization. But his primary intent will be to examine any and all opportunities we have across campus to improve our energy saving capabilities. So it's a big task, but he is, from what I've already found out over the last 6 weeks with him, he's more than up to the job. So I just want to introduce you to him because he's going to be doing a lot of important work for us over the next few years. So thank you.
Thank
So
you.
why don't we come on board? Thank you. Real quick, both roof projects, you have my report. The library and the student center are nearing completion. The student center, for all intents and purposes, is done. The library is about 2/3 done. We finally got our building permits for the construction of the pavilions that we're going to have constructed across campus. One of them is nearing completion already. We'll have the other two under construction over the next couple of weeks. The work on the paving contract and the sidewalk contract is nearing completion. We have some final grading and hydro seeding to do there. Very importantly, we've begun design work on the renovation of the restrooms in both Old Science and Student Services. We've also begun preliminary work or investigations into providing a track and field facility on campus in response to the fact that we have a track and field team now that performed very well last year. And some of the major projects that we have on the horizon are noted at the bottom of the report: the photo lab relocation and HVAC replacement projects at the library, business, and the student center. One last thing, we will be presenting to the board at your October meeting a recommendation for a preferred architect for the renovation of the Decker nursing space. So that will be part of the agenda in October. And with that, I will be more than happy to answer any questions.
Just a comment, want to thank NYSERDA for helping us out with living.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's a
Yeah,
NYSERDA program.
absolutely. Yeah,
Brought him here.
Yep.
Get that on the record.
Yep. Absolutely right.
Thank you, Dave. 5.6 budget and finance update, Mr. Sullivan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So a couple of, before we get to the monthly forecast, we just completed our veterans compliance audit. That's one of the responsibility, one of the hats that Laura wears above and beyond HR. So they got a superlative audit and some kind words by the auditor. This is a federal compliance audit. So we have probably 8 or 9 audits during the course of the year, in addition to the financial audits. So we're always pleased. It's boring stuff, but compliance is really critical in the higher education space. So just commend Laura and her staff relative to that. Also, I mentioned at Finance and Facilities Committee that we were expecting the county budget to be presented in capital. I wasn't too sure, couldn't find it on the website, but I think the budget and the capital plan was presented yesterday. And the county executive was very supportive of a number of capital projects that we've requested, including some additional funding for our core buildings, about a half a dozen core buildings classified by SUNY. So county is recommending about 650,000, and then that gets supported by 650 by SUNY. So that's $1.3 million. We're wanting to finish up some capital spaces for the music, which is at the campus center. I think we've spent pushing $1 million. I think foundation provided about $250,000 support. So we have a little bit left to do with that. So that was a couple $100,000, $100,000 from the county. So we hope to get that project, or SUNY won't, state budget won't be approved till next April, but we hope to have the music stuff completed before the fall. I don't know what year we're in, fall 2023. Nursing foundation support, $500,000. So we expect $500,000 from SUNY, We already have 2 phases of money, 2 million plus 2 million. So this additional million will be for furnishing and equipment, a lot of technology, as you know, in the health science arena. So, so we think that should be enough for the nursing expansion and some pretty significant space renovations within Decker. And then last but not least, we got some funding for roofing of the business building. So, you know, grand total was about 2.8 million, with the county putting in about 900,000. So, so that was very positive news. And then finally in your packet, you have 2 monthly reports. Our fiscal year ends August 31st. So just giving you a preliminary forecast, hasn't changed for the last 3 or 4 months. Usually we have about 60 days from the end of the fiscal year, September and October, to file the SUNY annual report. And then those are pretty solid numbers. Then we have Bonadil, the auditor, come in, and generally we're back here for the audit report in January and February. So nothing's changed with the 21-22 fiscal year. So we're about 2 weeks into the current new fiscal year. Went in great detail with the finance committee related to the forecast. At this point, you know, we budgeted enrollment at a 5% decline. We're at about 4%. Some good news is when you break down the 4 divisions, health science actually is flat. So after 2 years of more than 10% decline, I think that's good news, because I think the college's primary focus has been health science and STEM. STEM actually so far is about 1.5% ahead of last fall. So STEM, of course, had the biggest decline, so everything's relative, but to have stabilized that at this point, I think Dr. Kelly and her team have, you know, really focused a lot of attention on those areas. So, so we're seeing some good news there. I haven't really updated the revenue on the enrollment. You know, we're within 1%, and we will lose a little bit over the next several weeks where students will leave and so forth and so on. So we'll probably be pretty close to the 5% number, I think, at the end of the equation. The big variance that we probably expected, based on the fact that we're still in impasse in negotiations, is that the fall sections were a little over 130 higher than budgeted. This is primarily in the distance learning space, because there are, I think, as I mentioned a couple of months ago with the board, there are currently in the labor agreement caps as to the maximum number of students that can be in the distance learning space. College's proposal, without getting into a lot of details of negotiations, trying to increase those maximum caps, which will help mitigate this section issue. But at least for the fall, 134 sections more. The narrative talks about every section's costing us about $4,700 plus another 20% benefits. So at this point, I'm just forecasting for the fall semester, have a negative variance, a little more than $750,000. Just have to see how negotiations goes and continued efforts try to address some of this, which may improve for the spring semester. We'll just have to see. So at the present time, I'm just to balance the budget, I'm just utilizing more stimulus money to balance the budget. And that, I think, concludes my report. If anybody has any questions.
Thank you, Michael. 5.6.3 human resources.
Our report is in your packet.
Thank you. Grants and investments, part of the report, their standards. 5.616 village housing report.
It's a standard report of bond payments and remittances.
No, but can I call you
Um,
back, Donna? I'm just
There are
finishing up with our
276 residents. And that's the report. It's in the report.
Thank you. 5.7. Standard reports. Okay, can I have a motion to adjourn? Jason moved it. By Kathy.
Second. Yes, I do so. Would you like to be?